You guys feeling okay? I do too. It's a great day to be me because I am not Donald Trump.
Only the smartest, most handsome man would have agreed to this deal. I think you were also saying that anyone who signed this deal would never, ever have been on Jeffrey Epstein's sex island, sex plane, or yet to be revealed, sex zeppelin.
By the way, I never went to the island. I never had the privilege of going to his island.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry, what? What? You never had the privilege of going to Epstein's island?
Sadly, I never had the honor of dining with Jeffrey Dahmer.
One joke.
In the room would have signed this deal. And yet, here we are. Somewhere between a denial, a punchline, and a laugh, Trump manages to pull off what only he can, turning decades of controversy into, well, late-night material. Colbert lays it out plainly tonight. Epstein's photos, the promises Trump never kept, and the allies he left dangling, all coming out to play. Stick around. You're about to see
the smokiest yet, because the Wall Street Journal is now reporting that back in May, Attorney General Pam Bondi informed the president that his name was in the Epstein files. What? But he said he hardly knew the guy. He's in the files. He's in the files.
According to the Wall Street
Just how off the
Journal,
rails things get. Here's the latest nugget, the Wall Street Journal reports that back in May, Attorney General Pam Bondi personally informed Trump that his name appeared in the infamous Epstein files. Cue the flustered denial. I hardly knew the guy, Trump said. But the proof? Pam Bondi herself told him. And suddenly, Colbert had a foot.
Epstein attending Trump's 1993 wedding to Marla Maples. That is chilling. Tuxedo jacket with stonewashed jeans and cowboy boots? Jeffrey, the fashion police are calling, and they all want to see the list. Epstein was spotted in the background of another photo at the wedding, and in these two pictures with Trump at the 1997 Victoria's Secret Angels party, which raises the question, just what was Victoria's Secret?
Trump once waved
In the
off
door.
Epstein as
The man who once claimed to barely know Epstein now had his name printed where it mattered most. And if you want a visual, here's a photo from Trump's 1993 wedding to Mara Maples. Yes, Epstein was there. Tuxedo jacket, stonewashed jeans, cowboy boots. The fashion police are
Up on next, he won't escape the Jeffrey Epstein story. Trump sent his Deputy Attorney General, Todd Blanche, who also happened to be his personal defense attorney during the Stormy Daniels trial, to interview Epstein's convicted co-conspirator and Trump's double date partner, Ghislaine Maxwell. Now, we don't know what happened during this meeting because, as far as we've been told, the only people in there were Maxwell's lawyer, the convicted sex trafficker, and the president's personal sex lawyer. To make it even more normal, after the second meeting, Maxwell was seen carrying this box. Nothing suspicious about that. I'm sure they give all convicted sex traffickers with a decades-long connection to Donald Trump a box. She got a box, Epstein got a box, hers was cardboard, his was pine, all perfectly normal.
old photos were
calling. Then another photo at the 1997 Victoria's Secret Angels party. Ask yourself, do you pose like that with a stranger? No, you toast with an old friend. Trump tried the usual deflection. I wasn't a big fan of Jeffrey Epstein. I didn't want anything to do with him. That's one way to put it, Donald. Another is, I spent decades hobnobbing with a convicted pedophile, and now I'm rewriting history. Colbert's slideshow did the math for the audience. Flashes of friendly smiles.
Often these days, folks, the news goes from stupid. According to court records, Trump flew on Epstein's plane at least 7 times. Now, that doesn't mean he did anything illegal, but it's not a great look when you fly on the pedophile's plane enough times to earn diamond pervert status. Don't go in the lounge. Don't use the lounge. The only thing worse than flying with a pedophile is sitting in coach.
and the trail didn't
Repeated
just run
events
through
and mutual company. Denial, damage control. Then came the backroom drama. Trump sent his Deputy Attorney General, Todd Blanche, who also happened to be his personal defense lawyer during the Stormy Daniels trial, to meet with Ghislaine Maxwell, Epstein's convicted co-conspirator.
And the world found out exactly what those women were on the younger side of. Trump changed his tune.
I wasn't a big fan of Jeffrey Epstein. I didn't want anything to do with him. I was not a fan of Jeffrey Epstein.
Hey, I'm not a fan. He's the kind of terrific guy that I am not a fan of. He's a lot of fun to be with, and I don't like that at all. It is even said It is even said that he is a fan of the kind of beautiful women that I am not a fan of. That's why I spent so much time with him and his sexy friends on the No Thank You Express.
When the headlines
At
turned
one
toxic,
point, Trump's double date partner. What happened in that room? We don't know. But Maxwell walked out carrying a mysterious box. Pine, cardboard, whatever. Colbert let that linger. Perfectly normal, he said. Right. Because every convicted sex trafficker connected to Trump gets a box. And it didn't stop at photo.
Was buddies with a pedophile. Of course. Names like Donald Trump, Donald John Trump, Donald J. Trump, Donnie Trump, Donald Trump Jr. Father, Big Daddy Bronzer, aka the Donald, and a mystery man known only as Micropenis DJT. Now, if you're worried, it could be anyone. Could be anyone. If you're worried that you're on the list,
photos, flights,
Ops court
a
records
name-
show Trump logged multiple flights on Epstein's private jet, 7 times at minimum. Now that doesn't automatically imply illegal activity, but it's not exactly a glowing resume entry either. Colbert joked about a frequent flyer program for pedophiles, because yes, optics matter, and these flights screamed red flags. When headlines turned toxic, Trump tried the pivot. I am not a fan of Jeffrey Epstein. Suddenly,
the president denied that Attorney General Pam Bondi informed him that his name was in the Epstein files. So naturally, last night, the Wall Street Journal reported that Attorney General Pam Bondi informed the president that his name was in the Epstein files. I, for one, was shocked. What are you going to tell me next? That the Pope is in the Catholic files? That a bear is on the cover of this month's Modern Woods Pooper?
And then came the
the man who once had a front row seat to Epstein's world recast himself as an outsider. But the receipts don't lie. Friendly photos, decades of mutual events, and shared company made the denial look less like distance, more like desperation. And the pattern kept escalating. Trump's name in the Epstein files, cozy
we
wedding.
might have a hint why Trump hasn't been that eager to release those files, because according to Senator Dick Durbin, back in March, 1,000 FBI agents were put on 24-hour shifts to review approximately 100,000 Epstein-related records and instructed to flag any documents that mentioned Donald Trump. That is a suspiciously Herculean effort, okay? All the king's horses and all the king's men couldn't hide who Dumpty humped with his friend.
if throwing Bondi
Photos,
under the bus,
Victoria's secret parties, jet flights, secret meetings. Colbert mapped it all out with the precision of a crime thriller. And then came the denial inside, his own camp. Trump claimed Pam Bondi never told him about the files. The Wall Street Journal confirmed it did. Colbert's reaction? That's like being told the
MAGA
Pope
is demanding answers. 11 congressional Republicans have said they will join Democrats to vote to release the Epstein files. That would be a majority of Congress. So, in response, today, Speaker Mike Johnson shut down the House until September to block a vote on the Epstein files. It's a common parliamentary maneuver known as... Speaker Mike Johnson shut down the House until September to block a vote on the Epstein files. It's a common parliamentary maneuver known as... You cannot blame Trump and his allies for being scared here, because the more we know about Trump's relationship with Epstein, the more we wish we didn't.
when even MAGA voices
Catholic.
call for the
Not exactly breaking news. But why the secrecy? Senator Dick Durbin revealed that back in March, 1,000 FBI agents worked 24-hour shifts combing through 100,000 Epstein-related documents, flagging anything that mentioned Trump. That's not housekeeping. That's a full-blown lockdown. MAGA. Members even called for the release of the files, but Speaker Mike Johnson shut down the House until September, blocking the vote. Colbert summed it up perfectly. The more you learn about Trump and Epstein, the more you wish you hadn't. From the first wedding photo to the last flight log, the pattern is clear. Denials crumble. Promises are...
Over the weekend, it sunk in that they're killing off our show. But they made one mistake. They left me alive. And now for the next 10 months, the gloves are off. I can finally speak unvarnished truth to power and say what I really think about Donald Trump, starting right now. I don't care for him.
after weeks of pulling
political
threads
fodder,
on Trump.
raising questions that extend beyond the walls of the White House. How much of Trump's decisions were independent, and how much guided quietly from behind. And with old, Photos resurfacing, the question lingers. If you thought the first act of this story was messy, the next chapter is about to get even messier. Once Melania's past landed on Russian state TV, the story transformed. Nude photos, once personal or artistic, became geopolitical ammunition. Russia used them to mock Trump, amplifying the optics rather than the truth. Rogan highlighted that after meeting Trump, Melania had secured an Einstein visa, a fast track for extraordinary achievement that allowed her to bring her family to the US. In contrast, Trump's later immigration policies targeted similar pathways. To foreign media, it wasn't about law, it was optics. To critics, it was hypocrisy. On Joe Rogan's podcast, Melania's influence was framed not just as private counsel, but as a quiet architect of Trump's decisions. Her guidance appeared in public moments too. When reporters pressed on controversies like the infamous locker room talk, she defended him sharply, turning private whispers into headline-making moves. Rogan even suggested that Melania's advice shaped Trump's approach to legacy, warning him that choices made now, family, image, alliances, would define history. Yet Melania's impact didn't stop at whispered guidance. Rogan and commentators pointed to decades of public controversies where her actions amplified her husband's narrative. She quietly fueled fringe theories, like questioning President Obama's birth certificate, reinforcing narratives Trump promoted. At the Republican National Convention, she delivered a speech almost identical to Michelle Obama's 2008 address, a bold, ironic move, especially considering Trump's long-standing critiques of the former First Lady. The message was clear: optics mattered as much as policy. Even when scandals hit closer to home, Melania managed the narrative. The Stormy Daniels affair dominated headlines, but her main concern reportedly wasn't the affair itself. It was that Vogue had featured Daniels. Her focus was on the optics, on controlling which story defined the household. From plagiarized speeches to public defenses, Melania emerged as both shield and strategist, quietly shaping her husband's image while protecting her own legacy. Meanwhile, Trump's own distractions escalated. When the Epstein files loomed, he reverted to familiar tactics: deflection and chaos. Obama became a target. Accusations of treason, claims of a stolen election, bizarre phrases like cold, hard, blue, all designed to drown out headlines Trump couldn't control. Rogan painted a picture of a president increasingly isolated, reaching for any card to divert attention from Epstein's shadow. Even promises became weaponized distractions. Trump repeatedly claimed he would slash drug prices, not by 30 or 50%, but by impossible amounts: 1,000%, 1,500%, numbers that defied arithmetic and made headlines louder than any Epstein revelations. It was spectacle over substance, a desperate attempt to regain narrative control while the past kept encroaching. Old ties resurfaced as well. Photos and footage placed Epstein at Trump's wedding to Marla Maples, at Victoria's Secret shows, and in social circles where the two men appeared laughably close. Over time, the same face kept appearing in the background, blurring the line between Trump's story and Epstein's. Each resurfacing image created a choice: own it or bury it under louder headlines. Trump consistently chose distraction. Amid all this chaos, the story of Trump's allies added another layer. Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth, newly appointed, became a side plot of paranoia and overreach. Hegseth, considering a political future, spiraled into obsessive leaker hunts inside the Pentagon, using polygraphs excessively, so much that the White House had to intervene. In his drive to control information, he set up a paradoxical system. Anyone with a tip had to bring it to him so he could leak it himself via encrypted channels. Under Hegseth, hypocrisy became policy, and national security risked being compromised by ambition and paranoia. All the while, Melania's influence and Trump's distractions intersected. Rogan suggested that she had steered Trump into being the only figure willing to confront trafficking issues publicly, despite Epstein's shadow looming. Yet the Epstein files remained a vault of unanswered questions, and new names, like Celinda Middleart, emerged as hidden architects of events no one wanted fully exposed. Every public scandal, every distraction, every whisper from Melania, and every resurfaced photograph combined to reveal a president trapped in a web of influence, optics, and unresolved secrets. By the end of this act, the stage was set. The Epstein files weren't just historical footnotes, they were active triggers shaping policy, image, and perception. Melania had become more than a figurehead. Trump's distractions grew louder, his allies more erratic, and the questions kept multiplying. The story wasn't just about past connections, it was about control, influence, and the very real consequences of history refusing to stay buried.